Hello, it's 12 hours GMT. This is the Midday News. This bulletin is live on Joy99.7 FM in Accra. We're also live in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. We're streaming live on Facebook. Over 30 affiliates across the country's 16 regions, including Laura FM in Laura, A1 Radio in Bolgatanga, Sky FM in Sunyane, and Victory FM Aplau. Go digital on Spotify and the MindJoy online app. And coming up, Speaker of Parliament Alban Badmin calls on Parliament to show leadership as he warns government may not be able to pay salaries in the next 3 months.
This is not to discourage the committee from doing their work. If something is not done within the next 3 months, government may not even be able to pay salaries.
Transport fares to go up by 15% tomorrow, but with some operators threatening to break ranks to apply a 30% increase. What's the plan to prevent chaos at the lorry terminals?
The decision we arrived at last week concerning the increase of 15% in transport fares still hold. Nobody should follow the other figures.
We'll also tell you the story of commercial transport operators who say they are frustrated by the high cost of fuel and spare parts. That's coming up in our Living Standard series. Also here on the Midday News, we take you to Enyinamso in the Echuma in Wabieja district of the Ashanti region, where farmers say illegal miners have taken over their farms.
They are frustrating us to force us to sell our farms.
Also coming up, widespread condemnation from world leaders on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The death toll stands at 137, with many more injured. A raft of sanctions have been imposed in a bid to halt the hostilities.
Every asset they have in America will be frozen.
Now we see him for what he is, a blood-stained aggressor who believes in imperial conquest.
We have details as government of Ghana tells the international community it stands by the sovereignty of Ukraine.
The situation has implications not only for Ukraine and its immediate neighbors, but also for all our countries. Ghana unreservedly stands by the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine.
We'll hear from the country's permanent representative to the United Nations coming up in sports.
We are stuck in here. We don't know what to do. Former Ghana U17 defender cries for help as Russia invades Ukraine.
And later in the bulletin, who owns the voice that introduced some of the biggest hit songs produced by sound engineer Hammer of the last two?
Manche is an enigma. That is my signature.
I was in my element when we were playing the other song, but I'm still feeling this one though. Bowley.
We have details of these stories and more in this half-hour package. Thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I'm Ernest Minu. The Speaker of Parliament is calling on MPs to show leadership as he makes some stark projections about the country's finances. According to Alban Badmin, government may not be able to pay salaries of public sector workers in the next 3 months if critical steps are not taken. It is unclear what may have necessitated this forecast, but his comments come amidst ongoing consultations by the government to get the controversial e-levy bill passed. The Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has been leading the consultations.
When you are thinking of policy and how we can burden share so that others can come up. But when you see a new way of making money for the state, which means that the old ones will diminish, then that is where we have to go for. So in 2016, we had 78 billion cedis of transfers on Momo. Today, we have almost 1 trillion, 953.
That's Ken Ofori-Atta speaking at the Tamale Town Hall on e-levy. Let's now hear from the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Badmin.
Honourable members, the information at my disposal. This is not to discourage the committee from doing their work. If something is not done within the next 3 months, government may not even be able to pay salaries. So we have to take leadership. We have to do a lot of things. With this, the House is accordingly adjourned.
That's Speaker of Parliament Alban Badmin. Let's go to Parliament now for the very latest. Correspondent Kwesi Parker-Wilson joins us. Kwesi, we understand that the President's comment on the operationalization of the Komenda Sugar Factory has come up on the floor. What are the details?
Right, so the minority says that it is not true. I mean, it cannot be possible that the Komenda Sugar Factory will be operationalized in April, because if you grow the sugar cane, it's going to take about 9 months for you to harvest them. So the question is, where is the raw material? The minority wants the government to make public where they're going to get the raw material for the operationalization of the Komenda Sugar Factory.
Parker, thank you very much for bringing us those details from Parliament. In less than 24 hours, a 15% increase in transport fares will apply for all road transport journeys within the country. The Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council announced the increment following weeks of engagement with the various unions. But some of these unions have rejected the level of increment, insisting they'll go ahead with a 30% hike. Charles Danso speaks for the Committed Drivers Union.
From next week, Saturday going, you go around and check whether it is 15% that they are taking.
So meaning what? You'll be charging the 30%?
They will be charging 30%.
In other words, you are rejecting the 15% increment.
They will reject it. They will reject it.
Well, the GPRTU has the biggest member base and has agreed to apply the 15% rise. So what's the plan to ensure that all drivers comply with this directive? Join us now is Emmanuel Ohene-Yeboah, the General Secretary of the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on the Midday News. What exactly are you going to do to ensure that these operators charge the prescribed fares?
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity once again. I think, as we indicated earlier on, the 50% increase in transport fares still remains unchanged. It's unfortunate we have some people going around the social media and the traditional media saying they are not going to go by that and trying to adjust stuff up what's about the percentage increase. But I think it will be quite unfair and unprofessional to do that. We entreat the public to make sure they force the implementation as we all agree to it.
If you say the public should force the implementation, how exactly? Because we know that in the past, these hikes have led to arguments and in some cases clashes between drivers and passengers. So for people who may feel they've been unfairly charged, what exactly can they do?
Well, I think if you do anything other than the directive given, it becomes illegal. So the police, you can cause anybody who does that, get him arrested, and the appropriate charges will be referred against him. So I'm saying they should force it because they have a right to also fight for their right. In fact, it's not been easy negotiating and coming to these levels. Whatever we have done, we take into consideration all other factors that is going on locally and internationally. That's why we've come with that percentage.
Thank you very much. That's Emmanuel Ohene-Yeboah, General Secretary of the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council. Now, in our Living Standard series, Mamiesi Thompson finds out how the high cost of fuel and spare parts is impacting commercial transport operators.
Last year, we said near $600, and they remember almost $1 cost until we want to 800.
Prince Bosa, a taxi driver, is in a pensive mood. His car engine seat is faulty. He had postponed the repairs because of inadequate funds, but it has become necessary for him to replace the part. After battling the high cost of fuel, he is in a bad financial space. He visits the Abosokai spare parts market to buy an engine seat with an amount of 90 cedis after receiving hints from other drivers that a second-hand part may cost less. However, he gets here and realizes that the engine seat no longer sells at 90 but 120 cedis.
Reduce it. The system is hard. I'm hoping that he'll reduce the price. engine seat, mommy. I came here to buy an engine seat, and the price has ballooned to 120 cedis. 120.
I firmly believe that I have great negotiation skills, so I stepped in to help. But I could not sway the spare parts dealer.
Please reduce it for him. Oh no, I can't reduce it. The 90 cedis will not help. You know, I wish I could just give it to him, but I will incur losses.
90 no zuna MY.
Mamiesi Thompson with a Living Standard series. All pubs and restaurants at Osu will be shut down tonight. This is part of a 3-day ban on noisemaking to allow for the burial and final rite for the late paramount chief of the area, Ni Kinka Dona the Sixth. Osu, which is largely referred to as the heart of Accra's nightlife, is home to several popular pubs and restaurants which operate deep into the night. But they have to suspend operations at least for the duration of the ban. Here's PRO for the Osu Stew, Ni Adote McLean.
Would be disrespecting your father who is gone. That is what we mean. You can't be jubilating whilst your father is gone. So you doing that, it means that, you are not in conformity with us. And that is why I'm saying that those pubs that will be playing music and be having fun, like you said, it has come to your notice because you've heard it in town that is what is happening. So they should give us that due respect.
Let's go to Osu now. Manuel Cranton has been there all morning monitoring the mood there. Manuel, what can you report from the ground?
Yeah, so Ernest, this ban actually took effect from yesterday, but we're told by the Traditional Council that they're trying to relax it. But for tonight and tomorrow, they expect all the pubs and restaurants to actually be closed. Incidentally, most of the operators say they do not know and are not aware of this particular directive. A lot of them have already started preparing for the night, and they are really disappointed.
Music forces people to come to the places to listen. As you can see here, we sell food, drinks, and good stuff. Everything is here. People normally come here from Eastern region, Western, and good stuff. So if we are seeing music players and then today, tomorrow, I don't think it will help us. I don't know anything about it. Hey, you don't know. So, now that you are bringing your meat, what do you do? Now, you already bring them up. So, when the time when they come, when they don't come, you pack the meat and then there's the next day that they sell. So, after you, but like you know, I can't bring the meat. Okay.
That's my colleague Manuel Cranton there interacting with some business operators at Osu. Apologies for the poor quality of sound there. Now, farmers at Enyinamso in the Echuma in Wabieja district of the Ashanti region are seeking government intervention in what they describe as invasion of their farms by illegal miners. A visit to the small farming community revealed a daring act of illegal mining in the path of water bodies. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko was there and now reports.
Enyinamso number 1 and 2 are twin farming communities recently taken over by mining in the Achumang-Wabieja district of Ashanti. The entire river belt of the river Enyinam has been taken over and destroyed by illegal miners, even as the government's Operation Halt fights mining close to water bodies across the country.
So this is what remains of the river Enyinam. It has been stopped right here, and the miners are now digging deep within the riverbed itself. And so it is denying farmers here water to water their crops and even use it to spray their cocoa farms. And as you can see, the riverbed has been blocked here, and so definitely when it starts raining, there's going to be a huge overflow which will destroy their cocoa farms over to the other side.
Cocoa farms are bought by miners for between 10,000 and 25,000 cedis. Those who will not sell, like Boache Mensah, sometimes find themselves cut out from their farms by the miners. They are frustrating us to force us to sell our farms, but we won't, because it's a legacy for us and our children's children. Some farmers are incensed with illegal mining activities here. We are appealing to government. The Chinese are destroying cocoa farms. Every mined area here used to be a cocoa farm that could have served our country well.
Erastus Asaridonko filed that report. Let's do some stories on education now. And government is racing against time to get university teachers back to work as they take full advantage of the 10-day window to engage them on their grievances. The first of such meetings, called by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, did not achieve much. The lecturers suspended their 6-week strike over salaries and conditions of service, but formalization of the directive by the National Executive Committee of UTAG is being determined by the 15 public universities. Director of Research and Public Affairs at the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Alan Kratos, Joy News, UTAG has formally tabled its concerns before government.
Not gone deep into negotiations. We cannot, we will not be able to tell at this moment if the requirements will be met or not. It is something we put in. The meeting started. The minister was in charge of the negotiations.
As of yesterday's meeting, how would you describe it? Fruitful?
Oh, yeah, it was fruitful. It was productive. It was cordial. Main issues were brought up. UTAG also tabled some issues. You know, up until now and throughout the strike, our concern as Fair Wages and Salaries Commission was that some of the issues they were mentioning out there in the media were not officially tabled.
Authorities at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology signaled resumption of academic work yesterday, but the lecture halls were empty because the local chapter is yet to vote on the decision taken by the National Executive. University Relations Officer with the KNUST, Dr. Norris Bakwin, says whatever the outcome of the voting is, the academic calendar must not be disrupted.
We are pleading with the lecturers to actually vote to uphold their next decision and give themselves the window to negotiate with government and all other stakeholders. But then something would have been achieved in the sense that the students would have had at least some direction as to what to do or what not to do. Lecturers can begin to give course syllabus, teaching learning materials and other things to students. Because whatever the case, the academic calendar would have to roll.
The University for Professional Studies is also expected to vote today. Some students have been sharing their frustration with us over the impasse.
If not because of the strike, I think later by this time we would have even having our middays and exams. And then all the freshers will now know what to do or where our strength lies so that we can work hard towards that. But lectures is not there. We are spending and then we can't go like Bolaga or Boku and then return. So if they know that they cannot come back or call off the strike, then they should tell us so that we will do what? They should close the school so that we just go home and then relax.
When we went to class, we were expecting them to come, but they did not make available. We were expecting the lecturers, but it was unfortunate they were able to come.
Students of UPSA there. So for 6 weeks, the university lecturers have not worked but continue to draw their salaries and other allowances. So what have they been doing with their time? Here's the secretary of the Legon chapter of UTAG, Professor Ransford Jampo.
The most important of the duty of a lecturer is research. You're talking about teaching. What informs teaching? Without research, you cannot teach. And let me tell you this also. If you teach too much, you can be fired from the university. What do I mean? If you appointed a lecturer, first 6 years, you teach, you have a contract for just first 6 years. After first 6 years, your contract expires, and it must be renewed. If you want to go renew that contract, how do you renew it? You must show clear evidence of research.
Professor Ransford Jampo there, his Secretary of Legon UTAG. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come, widespread condemnation from world leaders on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The death toll stands at 137, with many more injured. A raft of sanctions have been imposed in a bid to halt the hostilities.
Every asset they have in America will be frozen.
Now we see him for what he is, a blood-stained aggressor who believes in imperial conquest.
We have details as the government of Ghana tells the international community it stands by the sovereignty of Ukraine.
The situation has implications not only for Ukraine and its immediate neighbors, but also for all our countries. Ghana unreservedly stands by the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine.
And also coming up in showbiz, the voice that introduced many of the biggest hit songs produced by sound engineer Hammer.
Manche is an enigma. That is my signature.
That was my element when we were playing the other song, but you know, I'm still feeling this one though. Bowley!
What brings you to my house this early morning? I hope all is well.
All is never well with me, Onikbakbo. After paying 3 times for the land for my project, the construction workers are now giving me wahala. From material overestimation to small stealing. I am tired.
I told you so, Efokoku.
It's all because you are trying to become builders when you're corporate workers and business people. Edlum has products tailored to meet your needs. Villas 3 at Amrahia, where there are finished homes. Conveniente, also at Amrahia, where it's contemporary but super affordable apartments. Prices start from $35,000. And the Avant-Garde, located in Adrigano, which has sleek luxury apartments. For more information, please visit edlumhousing.com or simply call 0270-166-166. Edlum Housing, where spacious homes cost less.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Time now for sports. Muftal Nabila is here with the latest.
Former Ghana under-17 defender Najib Yakubu has called for support from the government of the country. He says that they are stuck in Ukraine following the invasion of Russia.
They sent emergency message, like information that no training, stay home, be safe. This was going on, and I started to watch WhatsApp. I called my friends in the city that's attacked. They said, no, this is not a movie, but it's serious, you know. But I'm close to a city here. It's just 1 hour 30 minutes from here, like something like that. Yeah, from Kharkiv, and they attacked. They've been attacked. So I don't know what to take it, like where to take it from here. We are just confused, and we are being stuck here. Nothing is working. No.
Nothing is working for them.
Muftal, thank you very much for bringing us sports. But we stay with Ukraine because there are multiple global efforts, all directed at halting Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Superpowers like the United Kingdom and the United States of America have imposed a raft of sanctions geared at crippling the Russian economy to cause its leader, Vladimir Putin, to recall his troops. It's just day 2 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and there have been multiple explosions and firing of missiles, which have resulted in at least 137 deaths, with many others injured. World leaders have been speaking.
The use of force by one country against another is the repudiation of the principles that every country has committed to uphold. And this applies to the present military offensive. It is wrong, it is against the Charter, it is unacceptable, but it is not irreversible.
We've cut off Russia's largest bank, a bank that holds more than 1/3 of Russia's banking assets by itself, cut it off from the U.S. financial system. And today, we're also blocking 4 more major banks. That means every asset they have in America will be frozen.
He will never be able to cleanse the blood of Ukraine from his hands. That Putin was always determined to attack his neighbor, no matter what we did. Now we see him for what he is, a blood-stained aggressor who believes in imperial conquest.
You had UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, US President Joe Biden, and UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Now, Ghana has communicated its official position to the United Nations Security Council as it continues discussions on possible ways of intervening. Permanent representative to the UN, Harold Ajiman, says Ghana stands by Ukraine's sovereignty.
We condemn any military activity that would deliberately target civilians and civilian infrastructure and remind all parties of the personal responsibility that exists in international law. Ghana unreservedly stands by the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine, a bona fide member of the United Nations, whose membership of this organization provides for her guarantees over her internationally recognized borders, the same borders with which she joined this organization. We aver that the current developments in the eastern regions of Ukraine would not lead to a strategic gain for any party and encourage efforts to address both immediate and long-term interests through diplomacy and dialogue.
And that is Ghana's permanent representative to the UN, Harold Ajiman, there, speaking on Ghana's position on the Ukraine-Russian crisis. Ghanaians resident in Ukraine say they are still living in fear and are looking forward to be evacuated by government. The Foreign Affairs Ministry has assured it's doing all within its means to ensure the safety of Ghanaians. Time now for Showbiz.
Music group Dope Nation has denied that they extorted money and seized music rights from visually impaired singer Adelaide the Seer. They claim that even though they didn't sign a deal to continue working with her, their relationship with Adelaide is intact. Meanwhile, music streaming platform Spotify are a year old in Ghana already, and they have released some interesting stats to celebrate it. Sarkodie emerged the most streamed artist, while Skiddy's Touch It is the most exported solo Ghanaian track on the platform. Finally, American rapper Jay-Z has been awarded $4.5 million as royalties for a cologne deal he signed in 2012. The cologne company sued Jay in 2016, but Jay-Z's lawyers have turned things around.
Let's do some more showbiz. And prolific sound engineer Edward Nana Pokuosei, formerly or famously known as The Hammer, has revealed who owns the voice behind the notable introductions to some of his biggest hits. Manche Akwe, co-founder of the Chalewati Festival, is the name.
I was in my element when we were playing the other song, but I'm still feeling this one though.
Manche is the enigma that is my signature, and what you hear him do on my works is actually him approving of my work. We needed an inbuilt DJ because I didn't like the fact that my song goes out and the DJ is talking over the song.
Well, you just heard a man murder the music like that. You're just gonna stand there and watch. Hello.
So now you know that's Manche Ayikwe's voice there, and of course Hammer was speaking to Andy Dusty on Hits FM on the show called The Library, which is on Hits FM 10 a.m. to 12 noon on Fridays. And let's find out what's trending on social media. Joseph Akable joins me.
So a number of people are talking about the Russian and Ukraine situation that is in the trends. There's also Afenyo Markin trending as well. And there's this tweet here. It has to do with the comments he made on the evacuation of Ghanaians from Ukraine. Kofi Anderson tweets here that, oh, what is this honorable saying? Another one here says, you should spare the honorable. He's speaking facts only.
Thank you very much, Joseph, for bringing us what's trending on social media. Here's how we end the news on the Midday News. But you can find more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com, including what the speaker has been saying about government's ability to pay salaries in the next 3 months. You also find the story on the evacuation of Ghanaians from Ukraine and what it has to do with the e-levy. Afenyo Markin has been speaking. Capital Bank to 27.5 million CD commission was my finder's fee, and that's to Asian telling the court. We also have, I've not given Adjoa Safo permission to be absent from Parliament, the speaker speaking there. We have more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Many thanks for your company throughout the week. I'm Ernest Mino. Up next is Living Word with Dr. Mensa Otabel.
So the projections from the first quarter show a higher total gross profit for the fiscal year.
Nana, who's not land you? He did a port right here.
Here are your items. Thank you for coming.
Yes, 2 for 10 cedi. Me and 10 cedi. 2 for 10 cedi.